Hello, welcome along to Sportsbet TV. This is Paul Alster back with you again with a look ahead to some really good racing across Britain and Ireland on Saturday the 7th and Sunday the 8th of August. I've got a total of 4 selections for you to consider. Do remember, if you're new to this channel, then please press the subscribe button just below this screen, and then you'll be kept in touch with all my bulletins that focus really on pretty big priced horses, almost always each way, and very often very decent prices, even though so often the prices I put up tend to be really hit. And that is what happened really last Saturday. Just to go back to that very, very quickly indeed. Well, we had the ecstasy and then the agony in the Stewards Cup. I gave you 20-1 chance, Great Ambassador. This horse was smashed off the boards down to 8-1. And as they were well inside the final furlong, I was screaming as it went clear inside the final furlong, indeed, trading at 1.13, I think, on Betfair, which is about 8-1 on with about 100 yards to run. But it drifted across the course. He couldn't quite keep it straight, I'm afraid, William Buick. It wasn't his fault the horse was hanging. And in the end, he had to settle for third. But if you were on each way at the 20s, it was a very nice payback. But it could have been such a different story, a real cracking win, but it just wasn't quite to be. Nonetheless, it was a very good placed effort, and not the only placed effort at Glorious Goodwood. We had a few of them placed at odds of 10, 14, 11, and the 20s, and one other as well. Of the others on Saturday, well, it was a bit of a mixed bag. And one of the problems last weekend, and indeed very possibly this weekend, and indeed throughout this summer, has been the way the weather keeps changing and the ground keeps changing. You can tip them on Friday lunchtime as I am here and the going is good, and all of a sudden it's heavy by the time they jump away on Saturday. So we're really having to tread very, very carefully, and do bear this in mind as well when it comes to following my selections. If you hear my advice based on certain ground and then the weather goes doolally and you end up with something different, you might want to take that into account when you're having your bets. And also just to mention as well that if you're looking for slightly shorter odds horses that are higher up the list, then I've started offering my selections on another YouTube channel at freebets.com. Freebets.com is the name of the channel, and do check that out because I've got 4 up there over the weekend at shorter prices than these that I'm offering you here at Sportsbet. Well, let me take you on to this weekend selections. And the first thing to mention is no bet at Ascot. I just don't like the Shergard Cup. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people seem to enjoy the novelty of the Shergard Cup, but I don't like the kind of team racing thing and the fact that so many foreign jockeys are thrown into the mix on horses that they don't know, and different styles of racing to the way the horses would normally be used to running. It doesn't appeal to me as a betting medium. You, of course, go ahead if you fancy one and want to get involved, but for me, I can't be tipping in the Shergard Cup. My first selection Saturday is in Ireland at Cork, and it is the 207 race, which is a big field, 6 furlong handicap, 18 run. Now, the going forecast is yielding to soft, but Ireland, like England, is set to receive more rain, so it could easily become more testing. There are many, many horses with chances. I'm not going to mention any horse really other than the one that I'm suggesting, which is a horse called MOKHALAD. He's trained by the back-to-form John McConnell and is the mount of the promising young apprentice Siobhan Rutledge, who claims £7. Now, she's been doing really well this season. I'm always broadcasting on Irish racing, and I've been increasingly impressed with Siobhan Rutledge, who's doing very well. Now, MOKHALAD knows the game back to front. He's an 8-year-old. He's won 6 of his 57 races. He's probably ideally suited by decent ground, good to yielding over in Ireland. So if the rain was somehow to miss the track, that would be no negative, I can tell you that. But he does go with some cut. He goes on yielding to soft, possibly even on soft, but not on heavy. If it comes up heavy, you can ignore MOKHALAD. Now, he started off his career as a young horse with Sir Michael Stout, and then he went across the water to Damien English, good Irish trainer. Damien won 6 with him. And then this time last year, he joined John McConnell, who's a cracking trainer. I really like John McConnell. The horse was rated 83 when it came to him. And to be fair, it's been really struggling and out of form most of the time since it's joined the McConnell yard, unplaced on its first 8 runs for the yard and running really as if it had completely lost its way. It then had an 85-day break and came back to run a really good 3rd of 14 at the Galway Festival over 7 furlongs recently, off a mark of 69. That is £14 lower than it was just under a year before. It ran very well there over the 7 furlongs, leading. Interesting tactic. They led with it and it kept on in the closing stages. Now, Siobhan is able to claim that £7, which effectively takes the horse down to 62. Obviously, she's not experienced as some of the senior jockeys, but she does ride well. And I think that back at the 6 furlongs, MOKHALAD has a really big chance now that he seems to have recaptured some of his old form. Now, as I've mentioned, a time or 3, they're very, very slow pricing up on the Irish fixtures, which is ridiculous when it's the same bookmakers and a lot of the punters like to play on the Irish racing, especially when there's such quality racing as we're seeing this weekend. But no prices at the time of this recording, Friday lunchtime. So my best guess is that MOKHALAD is going to be about a 10-1 shot. So back him each way. You shouldn't be getting any less than 5 places with 18 runners these days. And so MOKHALAD is the choice. Remember to shop around and remember as well to try and bet with a firm that'll offer you the SP if it's bigger than the price you take, because that could very easily see your profit and loss being helped by the end of the season when we look at our results in the round. So that is MOKHALAD, Cork 207 on Saturday. Now then, for my second choice on Saturday, we go to England to Haydock at 3 o'clock. 7 furlong handicap. Overnight, Thursday into Friday, they were suggesting the going at Haydock will be no worse than good. It's already good to soft from what I'm seeing, and I understand it's raining, and there could be quite a lot more rain at the Lancashire track. Well, 12 runners are anticipated for this 3 o'clock race over 7 furlongs. The early favourite that I can see is a Cold Stare, a 4-1 shot for Red Hot David O'Mara, the horse of previous course and distance winner. Guido was a winner last time out for Katie Scott, who's doing quite well this season. Won at Ayr over 7 furlongs on good to soft ground, just gone up the £2 and has every chance of being thereabouts. But 4th that day at Ayr, that was back on July the 5th, was a horse called DUNEDIN, and that's my choice here. Trained by former very talented flat jockey Keith Dalgleish and the mount of Sylvester de Souza, the former champion jockey. Now, DUNEDIN's been a really good servant to the yard, already winning 9 races. He's only a 6-year-old. And he was 4th at York over 7 furlongs on good to firm ground in June, 4th of 16 there, off 81. But the handicapper has really given him a chance after a poor run at Carlisle. He then ran that 4th behind Guido off 77, and he's now rated 76. For me, very eye-catching is the fact that Sylvester de Souza is booked to take over from Billy Garrity, who with the best will in the world wouldn't be in the same league as SDS. Now, DUNEDIN has form on soft ground. He might not have done most of his winning on soft ground, but he's run some good races in defeat on soft ground. And interestingly, Sylvester de Souza, when he teams up with Keith Dalgleish, has a 19% strike rate, 7 wins from 37 rides, and he's finished 2nd or 3rd on 13 more. In other words, it does appear that Keith Dalgleish turns to Sylvester when he fancies one to run a pretty big race. And I think that DUNEDIN's going to go well. He's a 10-1 shot each way with Hills, and 4 places are on offer. That's the best offer I can see early on. Maybe he'll go bigger, but I think 10-1 is a fairly sporting call. So that is DUNEDIN, who I fancy each way for 4 places, 10-1 at Haydock in the 3 o'clock race. And then I take you on to a really interesting horse. This is at Newmarket on Saturday in the 5 o'clock. A 1.25 mile handicap for horses rated up to 100. Now, the forecasting that HQ is going to be good to firm. That may well be the case. We'll see if the rain misses the July course. Now, just the 6 runners here. You're hired for Amanda Perrott, won at Bath last time out over the mile, steps up to the 1.25 miles here, but is effective at the trip. It's gone up £2 for that. And Mark Johnston's Sky Defender appears to be running back into form. He was a solid 6th to Migration at Glorious Goodwood and has gone down £1. So you can't rule him out. Then you've got a horse called Sarumi, trained by Richard Hannon, who's contested 2 really hot races of late and has run solid on both occasions. But you may recall that I tipped you a horse called Bugle Major on the opening day of Glorious Goodwood. It was one of 3 non-runners because the ground went heavy. So we ended up out of 4 selections with only 1 runner, and that was a 50-to-1 shot. Anyway, Bugle Major, I'm hoping he's going to reward connections who have been patient. Richard Hughes trains him, and Shane Kelly rides. As I say, he didn't run at Goodwood because of the heavy ground. So if by some chance the rain were to somehow find its way to Newmarket and turn it to soft, he would either not run, or I would suggest that you don't get too heavily involved. Now, he was a decent horse over in France. So when trained by Pascal Barry, he won 3 of 8 starts, including on the all-weather, and he was 3rd in a listed race at Deauville. Now, he made his debut for Richard Hughes as recently as May the 22nd on the Rolling Mile, and he was 5th of 6 off a mark of 99. Slowly away there, never dangerous. Very typical kind of a run from a horse who has not only moved stables but moved countries and is taking a little bit of time to acclimatise. He then ran over a mile in the Royal Hunt Cup. He finished a very respectable 12th of 30. And was repeatedly blocked. Every time he tried to go for a gap, it was closed on him and he was hampered. And he was going on at the finish, really going through the line very strongly, like a horse that really hadn't had a race, to be honest. And also is quite likely to be better over further. Now, as I said, I hope the patience of connections is going to be rewarded here. Richard Hughes going really well at the moment with a 23% winning strike rate. As of Friday lunchtime, 6 of his last 26 runners have won. That's going really well. Now, there's early prices up, and I've got to say, William Hill's, credit to them as usual for going up early, but I think they've dropped a clanger here because they've gone 16-to-1, this horse, in a 6-runner race. Novi Better followed them going 16-to-1 as well. I can't see him being 16-to-1. I think they've made a mistake. So I'm not sure how long that price is going to last, but I'm betting him each way for 2 places, quarter the odds, 16-to-1, because in my book, he should be half or even less than half those odds, around 6-to-1. So if you can get on the 16-to-1 by the time this bulletin comes out, then grab it with both hands because you'll be able to trade out of it and whatever. I really think Hills, bless them, have slipped up here, but that's the chance you take when you price up early. And I think Bugle Major is going to run a big race over the right trip. Hopefully there won't be any trouble in running with just the 6 runners. And I think he's going to run a massive race with Shane Kelly on board. So that is the 3rd of my selections. And I'm going to take you on now to the 4th recommendation, which is going to be on Sunday. And on Sunday at the Curragh, there's a great card with the Group 1 Phoenix Stakes. I'm not tipping you in that race. I have a shorter price runner that I fancy there, and you can check that one out at freebets.com. Worth taking a look. I do fancy it, I'll be honest. But I also fancy one at the Curragh here at Sportsbet in the 305 race on Sunday. So worth they're waiting for over the weekend. The Group 3 Phoenix Sprint is over 6 furlongs. There is rain forecast. They're saying the going is going to be good or good to yielding. There are 10 runners. And very interestingly, there's a royal runner over in Ireland. And that is the Queen's Light Refrain, who's trained by William Haggis and the mount of Ryan Moore. Now, this horse is a very useful performer, only beaten a length by Rohan in Group 2 company at Haydock in May, and that was on heavy ground, so any rain will not inconvenience Light Refrain. It disappointed at Royal Ascot, didn't run its race, but it did win last time out at York, taking a Group 3 there, a fillies and mares contest. I think it'll run very creditably light refrain, but I think it might find one or two too good. But I also think there could be a lot of money for it. With Haggis taking this one over to Ireland for the Queen and Ryan Moore, it will catch a lot of people's eyes. Also going over from Britain to Ireland is Richard Fahey's Ventura Rebel, who was a winner over this course and distance of a Group 3 in September of last year. Now, it's been taking on better company this year, hasn't been disgraced in Group 1s and such. Although it has been unplaced all 3 starts, I could see it putting up a much improved run here, Ventura Rebel. But again, I would have liked to have seen it just run that little bit better, even though, of course, it has been taking on better horses. What about the Irish defence? Well, A Case of You and Power Under Me are 2 good Irish 3-year-olds and shouldn't be far away. And Edward Lynham has a nice sort in Romantic Proposal, who was 3rd in a Group 2 last time out, over 5 furlongs, and is £5 better off for 2 3/4 lengths with my selection. And that selection is the 5-year-old Gustavus Weston, who is trained by Joseph Murphy and is the mount of Gary Carroll. Now, Gustavus Weston is a horse I really like. He's one of those rock-solid, really tough Irish sprinters, a winner of 3 of his 16 starts. He won over course and distance in Group 3 company on soft ground back in 2019. Now, he's obviously had a few issues last season. He only ran 3 times and didn't set the world alight, but he seems to be in rude health this year. He's run 5 times in 2021. He won over course and distance in Group 2 company. And remember, this is a Group 3. And he won on softer, heavy ground, beating the very useful Maker Challenge, and was a 14-1 winner that day when he popped up. That was in the Greenland Stakes. Now, he had a 56-day break before coming out and leading all the way down to the final furlong last time out, finishing second to the really impressive horse Munista, who I think could end up being a top sprinter by the end of this season. That, though, was over 5 furlongs on good ground. In the Group 2 Sapphire Stakes on July the 17th, a race in which Romantic Proposal was 3rd. As I say, Romantic Proposal is £5 better off. That is a penalty that Gustavus Weston has to carry because he's a Group 2 winner in a Group 3 race. But against that, the trip and the ground are better for him, and I think he will be much better for that first run back after a 2-month break. So despite having to give away weight all round, I think Gustavus Weston is going to run a cracker. And again, I'm having to estimate the odds because there are no prices up for this very, very good race in Ireland on Sunday. A real shame we don't have a stronger guide, but possibly by the time you see this bulletin, the firms will be up and betting on this race. I'm suggesting 7-1. I'm suggesting he's an each-way bet, and he'll be available for at least 3 places. So that is Gustavus Weston, my 4th and final selection, and that is on Sunday at the Curragh in the 3:05. So there we have it. 4 selections. I have to be honest, July wasn't a great month. We ended up making a loss on the month, having overall in the previous 12 months made a tremendous profit of over £1,800. Can't remember the exact sum, but you can check it out in the information about the channel just below this screen. But after a quiet July, I'm pretty confident that August is going to go well. And I'm very hopeful that these 4 selections will run really well at good prices. And of course, you've got the option to include them in singles, doubles, trebles, the 4-timer and multiples as you see fit. Or of course, you could ignore everything I said and go with your gut feelings and make your choices. But that's it for this weekend. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the racing. For now, from Sportsbet TV, this is Paul Alster signing off. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye-bye.